Hello there, welcome back to Tuck and Cash. I hope you are doing well. So, welcome back to part 2 of Tuck or Play for Oceania Bird, where I look at each bird in Oceania Expansion and kind of give you my 2 cents, whether I think they are worth playing or I would tuck them if they come up. In any case, let's go straight to it. I think this is where we left off. The golden-headed Cisticola. So play another bird in your grassland, pay the normal cost but with 1 egg discount. So I did kind of mention that I feel like play another bird kind of get nerfed in Oceania board because you don't really need a second bird in the wetland or the forest to get 2 food or 2 card. But I think in the grassland is maybe a little bit different. Building out your grassland, early allows you to gain more eggs because the early eggs gaining in Oceania board is kind of harsh. And this bird does have a star nest, so I'm leaning play on this double play here on the grassland with the star nest. So, yep, that's that. Goat's Finch. So another play. So it's play a bird at the game end. So you have to pay the food and the egg, and then you can use the power. Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I think it's a play, right? If you have a good bird that you can play at the end of the game, so that adds to the points of the 3 points. And then if it has power, you can trigger. It's cheap to play. Yeah, I think it's a good play. I see a lot of possibility with the goat's finch here. All right, the green pygmy goose. Draw 2 cards from the deck, give 1 to another player and keep the other. Okay, allows you to draw more cards. You do have to give away cards to another player, but you get to choose which one that you give them. So I think it's a solid bird to jumpstart your wetland. Again, you get to see more cards. So I would say play. Again, typically 2 grain is bad in base game, but with Oceania, because of the nectar you start with, it's easy to play. So I'm gonna say play for this. Alright, the Gray Butcher Bird. So it's a hunter bird. You look at card from the deck. If it's less than 40 centimeter, you get to tuck and cash a rodent. So when you succeed, you get 2 points. Yeah, I've played this bird a few times, have some luck, and based on other people's experience, sounds like it performs quite well in most games. So yeah, I would say it's a play, especially in the grassland, late game as an engine bird, or even in the forest as an engine bird. 2 points is very tempting, so I would say play on this. The Great Striped Thrush. So reset the feeder, gain all the rodent. You may cash any of them on this bird. Oh wow. 1 food for potentially a lot of points. And yeah, I think it's just a good early game bird. And maybe round 2, maybe not so much in mid or late game because of the low points, but solid play. I would say play. All right, what do we have? We have the Gray Teal. So when activated, you look at 3 cards from the deck, keep 1 wetland bird. You may add it to your hand or tuck it. So again, some flexibility, and at the same time looking at 3 cards, so helping you to dig through cards is going to be great. And one thing to keep in mind, as we add more expansion to the game, the deck is going to be, bigger and bigger. So being able to kind of look through more cards and find a useful one is quite powerful. So I would say play for the Gray Teal. All right, next we have the Gray Wobbler. So this is similar to the other play another bird that we have seen. So, play another birds with egg discount, star nest. I'm just not convinced for the forest. Like in Oceania, I find myself not playing too many forest bird. And the 1 point low points is, not great, but it does have star nest. I think I might lean towards tuck on this, just in comparison to, all the other birds that I've choose play. I'm gonna say tuck on the Gray Wobbler here. All right, Great Headed Mannequin. So play a bird, you pay the food, but you ignore 1 egg cost. So if you have power, then you get to play it. I think again, this is a solid play. This is similar to the goat's finch that we just talked about. 1 food, and you get to play another bird, and then you get discount and you get power in that star nest. Yeah, I think play. The Horsefield Bronze Cuckoo, so pink power. When another player lay eggs, you get to lay 1 egg on a bird with a less than 30 centimeter. I think a lot of pink power egg laying birds are gonna shine in Oceania because how difficult it is to get eggs in Oceania. So I would say this is a play, especially the food cost is so cheap. So there you go. The Horsefield Bush Lark. So discard 1 egg and you lay 2 eggs on this bird. Another lark family with similar power that we have seen in base game where you discard grain to gain 2 egg. But I think this is slightly better than all the other lark that we have seen because it's cheaper, and again, in Oceania, getting eggs is hard. So if you can play this and lay egg once, so that the egg lasts you for a few more rounds before you need to lay eggs again, this can be really strong, I think. And I've played a game where I have Raven and go with the Bushlark. That was so good, that I can discard 2 eggs and then run my engine. Again, not great, not super, not something I look forward to play, but just because it's an upgrade from all the other Lark birds in the base game, I'm gonna say play, just to give some moral encouragement for the Larks here. So, all right. Next, we have Kakapo. Kakapo?
Kakapo.
Kakapo.
This flightless nocturnal parrot is endangered. It only reproduces every 3 years or so.
Okay, Kakapo. So you get to draw 4 bonus cards, keep 1 and discard the other 3. Right? 2 food for 4 points and a good chance of drawing a good bonus card because you're seeing 4. Solid play compared to other bonus card gaining birds in base game. So play. Kia. So Kia, draw 1 bonus card and you may discard any number of food to draw additional bonus card and keep 1 card and discard the rest. Okay, so this is kind of fun. So if you have extra food, you can just spend them and dig for a good bonus card. 2 food for 1 bonus card, it's kind of risky. You don't always get the bonus card that you want, but there's a chance you can draw a good one. I want to say play just for the fun factor. I mean, I have played this bird before. I don't find myself like spending a ton of food just to get a good bonus card, but in situation, if you're in the privilege or luxury of doing that, it's kind of fun. So let's just say play. Kelp Gold. So discard any number of food and draw that many card. Again, this is an interesting one. I've played this bird before. I think 2 food for 6 points and the brown power is pretty good return, but I think I find myself not really knowing if it's worth it to discard food to gain additional card. I still need to feel this out, but I would say just for the points and the brown power and food cost, it's a solid good play. So that's a play. Kakaroo. So if the next player has a nectar in their personal supply, gain 1 nectar from the general supply. Good forest bird to start with, and the brown power can be kind of threatening for your player. It's not super reliable, I guess, especially in early game. Your opponent can just spend the nectar and deny that. But I think still play. I haven't played this bird, so we'll see. I'll say play for now. Alright, Korimako. So discard any number of rodent and get that many nectar from the supply. It's expensive, but you kind of... So basically rodent is like nectar to you, so you can get additional nectar. Again, because it's easy to play, 3 food birds in the Oceania bird. Yeah, I would say play. I'm not feeling strongly, but... And I don't have a lot of experience, but I say play for now. Alright, we have the Laughing Kookaburra. Reset the feeder if you do, gain either a grub, fish, or rodent if there's one. This is a great bird to jumpstart your wetland, your forest, or your grassland, I guess, in some way. It's so cheap, food is so flexible, and you almost always guarantee to gain at least one food. So I would say this is a very good play in the early game. Lesser Frigate Bird. So all player may discard one egg from wetland, and then that player may discard an additional an egg. Each player that discard an egg might gain one food from the supply. So you get to exchange egg to food. Yeah, it's a situation power that maybe you find useful. Again, eggs are hard to get in Oceania, so I don't know. I feel like eggs definitely worth more than food. It's easier to gain food in Oceania. Don't know how good is the power, but 3 food for 9 points is solid return for a flexible power. So I guess play. Lewin's Honey Eater. Choose one other player. You both gain 1 nectar from the supply. Again, you don't want to give nectar, but in the multiplayer situation, you can strategically give it to, player that maybe is falling behind or don't need it as much while yourself gain the nectar. So very flexible. So I would say play. Little penguins, oh my. Even with just a few games, I've, encountered little penguins a lot. So I know what I'm gonna say. So, when you activate, you get to look at 5 cards from the deck. And then for each fish in the food cost, you get to cash a fish on this. So again, looking at this, you might think this is great. Wow, lots of potential to gain a lot of points. But from my experience, this power is really deceiving. You don't actually succeed that often. But in any case, I would say with 3 fish, 7 points, star nest, and a wow wingspan, with occasionally okay power, I think most of the time I'm willing to play the bird, especially with, easy access to food with Oceania. So even though I must warn you, the power, is not as great as it presents itself. Alright, Little Pie Comrade. So at the end of the game, lay 1 egg on each of your bird with a platform nest, including this one. Okay, again, depends on the game, yeah. 4 points for 2 food. And then you gain a few more eggs. It's just okay. I think compared to other game end egg laying power, I'm not feeling strongly about this. Maybe I just haven't played it enough. So I'm just gonna say tug for now. Alright, we have the Magpie Lark. So at the end of the game, you discard 2 eggs from your forest. If you do play 1 bird, pay normal food cost, but not the egg, and then you can activate when play your game end power. I would say this is a play, right? 1 food for 5 points, and you get to play another bird at the end of the game. Very solid return, so no question. Alright, Major's Mitchell Cockatoo. So you get to tug a card from your hand. If you do, all player gain 1 grain from the supply. I guess why? I guess you gain 1 tug, and then all player get grain. Is that really good return? Giving everyone food for that 1 point. Yeah, I'm gonna go with my gut and say tug here. I'm not really feeling good about this. Let me know if you think otherwise. Molly Fowl. So lay 1 egg on each of the bird with your ground nest, including this one. Again, this is similar to the bird that we just talked about, the Little Pie Comrade. And this gives you even less point. That makes no sense. 2 points for 2 food, even though there's a lot of egg spots. I think I'm gonna say tug on this. 2 points is too low. Alright, Man Duck. So you get to tug up to 3 cards from your hand behind this bird. If you tug at least 1, you gain 1 grain. I know a lot of people are very excited about this bird because you get to tug 3 cards on one bird, so that's 3 points gaining, and you gain 1 food in addition to that. That's just amazing. I think this is a great bird. I have run into a couple game that, you know, is great, but you also have a window of play. You know, it's only 2 points, so if you have birds in the wetland to support this in addition, then it's worth playing. But if it's late game, like round 3, even though it's great, I don't know if it's worth playing. So moving on, we have the many color fruit dove. So all player gain 1 cherry, you gain 1 additional. Okay, very basic power, but it's really cheap. So yeah, I guess can't complain. I'll just say play. Not impressed, but it's okay. Moss lapwing. So when play, you get to reset the bird feeder, and then for each type of food in the feeder, gain 1 of that type. I'm gonna say this is really strong. In early game, like great jump start. You get multiple food typically in the feeder. Yeah, not much to say. I think it's a solid play. Mistletoe bird. Gain a cherry from the supply, or discard a cherry and gain 1 nectar. Yeah, the power, I'm not feeling strongly, but starness, but low points. I'm gonna say tug. I'll see after I play more of it how do I feel, but just the low points and more like 3 food, I'm not feeling it. Alright, next we have Mustang. So, this is the power where you get to draw 1 face-up card that is the ground nest or star nest, and you can reset. So where you talk about this power is very strong. So especially it only costs 1 food, so definitely a play here. New Holland Honey Eater. So gain 1 nectar from the bird feeder if that's 1. Feels great that you get to gain nectar in the grassland, but that is assuming that that's nectar in the feeder, so it's not guaranteed. And your opponent can really deny it by, you know, picking up nectar every time it show up. And it's a 0-point bird. It has the potentially of being good, but again, my gut feeling is telling me this is not as good because of the 0-point and not guaranteed nectar. So I'm gonna say tug. So if you have played this, let me know if it works better in your hand or you have good experience with it. Alright, Noisy Miner. So you get to tug 1 card from your hand, you lay 2 eggs, all the other player lay 1 egg. So in terms of points, you get 3 points and then your opponent get 1. So it's a net 2-point bird, so it's solid. And I think being able to get 2 eggs in the forest is so good in Oceania board, so you don't have to rely on the grassland to gain egg. I would say this is a very good play. The fruit cost is flexible. Yeah, I've played this bird and able to tug like 6 or 7 times, and it has a good number of egg spots too, so no complaints here. I would say this is a play. Alright, next we have the North Island Brown Kiwi. So discard a bonus card if you do draw 4 and keep 2. Okay, so again, it's one of the bird that allow you to shuffle for bonus card, and you gain 2 bonus card in this case by drawing 4. I think that's a great play. I mean, 3 food for 6 point and a star nest and a wild wingspan is already great, and then you get to shuffle for bonus card and look at 4. I think I've played this and usually has a pretty good return, so I would say play. Alright, orange fooded scrub fowl. So lay 1 egg on each of your birds with ground nest, including this one. Again, game end, and then you're only getting limited number of eggs, and you have 1 point to start with. I guess what's the appeal of this bird? Like a cheap forest bird to start with? Yeah, I don't think so. Yeah. Too limited and 1 point. I just don't see it. I think that's gonna be a tug. Alright, Pacific Black Duck. So for every 2 eggs in your wetland, you get to lay 1 egg on this bird. And again, for 2 points, and you know, with Oceania, you don't find yourself laying eggs a lot. Maybe you get additional 2 or 3 points. So yeah, I don't think the return for this is great. That's what I'm saying. I think a lot of the egg laying game end powers are not that great. Just from, I mean, just from the face value. I actually haven't played this too much, but I'm gonna say tug. Peaceful though, so you get to discard any number of grain and lay 1 egg on this bird for each discarded grain. I guess it's cheap to play, and again, it's back to the you can play it in forest and then use this bird to gain eggs in forest, which is great to jumpstart your Oceania game. So I would say play. Yeah, I would say play. Okay, the last bird here maybe. Alright, so the Pescate Parrot. So if the previous player has a nectar in their supply, you gain 1 in the general supply. I think we have seen another bird with the same power, right? Maybe this has a lower bird points. Again, it's kind of tricky. Your opponent can really deny you the nectar by spending the nectar, especially in early game. Yeah, now that I think about it, I kind of want to say tug, but that's kind of inconsistent with previous game, previous bird that we talk about. But I think previous bird maybe has higher bird points. Yeah, in any case, I guess play. We'll see. Might have some potential. Yeah, in any case, maybe that's the wrap up for part 2 here. Stay tuned for part 3 where I'm gonna go over the rest of the bird. Yeah, let me know what do you think of some of the birds that we have talked about in this part. And thanks for watching as always. I hope you enjoyed watching this, and I'll see you in the next one.